Across Earth's mountains and forests are peoples who have built their lives inside the fog. Some grow their crops on steep slopes hidden in cloud. Some plant gardens in valleys where mist never lifts. Others follow bees through fog-wrapped trees or see sacred visions in drifting vapor. For them, mist is not just weather. It is food, it is medicine, it is spirit. These are communities shaped by cloud itself, sustained by its moisture and guided by its rhythms. Each highland and forest tells a story of resilience, of people who learn to live where the earth meets the sky and where the sun rarely breaks through. Khasi. In the emerald heart of Meghalaya, where the name itself means abode of clouds, the Khasi people have built a civilization in the world's wettest place. Here, in the Shillong Plateau, where monsoon clouds crash against ancient hills like celestial waves, rainfall doesn't just visit, it rules. Cherrapunji and Mawsynram, their sacred villages, drink from the sky until the earth itself seems to weep tears of joy, receiving over 400 inches of rain each year. The Khasi do not fight the fog, they dance with it. Their villages emerge from morning mist like dreams taking form, bamboo houses on stilts rising through layers of cloud that drift between the trees like wandering ancestors. Children grow up knowing the weight of water in the air, learning to read the moods of mist that can hide entire valleys or reveal them in moments of startling clarity. Here, in this realm of perpetual moisture, the Khasi have become master engineers of the invisible. They grow their bridges from living fig tree roots, guiding them across rushing streams swollen by endless rain. These root bridges, called Jingkeng Dry, take decades to mature, strengthened by each monsoon until they can carry entire communities. They are not built, they are grown, nurtured, loved into existence by generations who understand that the best architecture learns from nature itself. The Khasi women hold the lineage, passing down not just names and property, but the deep knowledge of cloud reading and rain calling. Their markets bloom even in the heaviest downpour, umbrellas creating a canopy of color above vendors, selling everything from black sesame to wild honey collected from trees that grow in perpetual twilight. Their sacred groves, the Lor Kintang, are cathedrals of mist, where giant trees disappear into fog above and their roots drink from streams that never know drought. These forests breathe with the rhythm of clouds, their canopies so dense that even at midday, the light filters down like whispers, green and gold and impossibly soft. But modernity creeps up their mountains on roads that cut through cloud forests, bringing cement and glass to a world built of bamboo and breathing roots. Yet in the depth of monsoon season, when the fog grows so thick that day and night lose meaning, the old ways persist. Because for the Khasi, mist is not an obstacle. It is the very breath of their homeland, flowing through their lives as naturally as blood through veins. Quechua. High in the Andes, where the Amazon's green fingers reach upward toward the sky, the cloud forest Quechua live suspended between earth and heaven. In these vertical worlds of Peru and Ecuador, where altitude measures not just height, but the thickness of mist, entire communities have learned to farm clouds themselves, harvesting water from air and wisdom from the marriage of mountain and jungle. Their terraces climb impossible slopes, carved into mountainsides that disappear into fog above and fall away into green infinity below. Each level catches its own microclimate. Warm valley air mixing with cold mountain breath, creating the perpetual clouds that give these forests their name. The Quechua plant potatoes at altitudes where no potato should grow, tend corn in fields that float above the tree line, and raise llamas that graze on grasses wet with cloud dew. Morning brings the ritual of emergence as families step from stone houses into world remade by night fog. Gardens appear and vanish as mist rolls through valleys, revealing terraces that seem to float in mid-air, then swallowing them again in grey-white silence. The Quechua move through this shifting landscape with the confidence of people who know that what is hidden is not lost, merely waiting for the next breath of wind to reveal itself again. Their knowledge of cloud forest plants runs deeper than any botanical text. They know which orchids bloom only in the thickest fog, which medicinal vines grow strong in the eternal twilight, and how to find the rare fruits that ripen without ever seeing direct sunlight. Their shamans, the Misayok, journey through mist worlds, both physical and spiritual, reading the clouds for messages from Apu, the mountain spirits who control weather and fortune. The Spanish conquistadors called these lands montaña, not quite mountain, not quite jungle, but something mysteriously between. They brought cattle and Christianity, but the cloud forests kept their secrets. Even today, as roads wind higher and cities grow in distant valleys, much of the cloud forest Quechua world remains hidden, protected by mists that turn visitors around and GPS systems into useless plastic. Yet in this concealed realm, where morning fog carries the calls of cock-of-the-rock birds and evening clouds bring the scent of flowers that have never felt full sunlight, the Quechua continue their ancient dialogue with the sky. They are the cloud farmers, the mist readers, the people who turned altitude into agriculture and made a civilization in the space between earth and heaven. Waorani. In the mist-shrouded depths of Ecuador's Amazon, where morning fog rises like spirits from rivers that wind through green eternity, the Waorani people move through forests that exist in perpetual twilight. This is not the bright jungle of popular imagination, but something more mysterious, a world where dawn and dusk blend into endless gray-green hours, where giant trees disappear into low-hanging clouds, and where the boundary between earth and sky dissolves in humid mist. The Waorani call themselves the people, and in their fog-wrapped territory, they are the only people who matter. Their villages cluster on slight rises above rivers that flow like dark mirrors, reflecting a sky they rarely see clearly. Morning mist carries the calls of howler monkeys, whose voices boom through clouds like thunder made of sound, while evening fog brings the flutter of bats emerging from trees that tower beyond sight. They hunt with blowguns in this mist world, their curare-tipped darts flying silent through air thick enough to taste. The fog makes every hunt a communion with invisibility. Prey appears and vanishes like forest spirits. Tracks disappear in mist-dampened earth, and the hunter becomes as much shadow as flesh. The Waorani read this clouded forest like a sacred text, knowing which bird calls mean rain is coming, which way the mist will shift with the afternoon breeze, and where to find the clearings where medicinal plants grow strong in filtered light. Their shamans journey through worlds of fog, both literal and spiritual, using ayahuasca visions that blend seamlessly with the mist reality of daily life. In a landscape where everything appears and disappears like dreams, the boundary between vision and sight becomes meaningless. The spirits they commune with live in the fog itself, guardians of the forest canopy that stretches unbroken beyond any horizon. The outside world has pressed against their territory with oil roads and mining camps, bringing chainsaws and generators to forests that have known only the whisper of wind through leaves. Some young Waorani drift toward towns that glow with electric lights, trading the soft twilight of home for the harsh brightness of modernity. But in the depths of their territory, where morning fog never fully lifts, and afternoon clouds merge with evening mist, in an endless cycle of grey-green peace, the old ways persist. Because, for the Waorani, mist is not weather. It is the forest breathing, the trees dreaming, the very essence of a world that exists hidden from the burning eye of the sun. Mentawai. On the remote islands of Siberut, where the Indian Ocean meets Sumatran shores, the Mentawai people live in a realm where sea fog and forest mist dance together in eternal courtship. These are not the sun-baked atolls of tropical postcards, but something more mysterious. Islands wrapped in clouds that roll in from deep water, mingling with vapors that rise from rainforests so thick that sunlight reaches the ground only in scattered coins of gold. The Mentawai wake to mornings veiled in mist that makes their wooden umar longhouses seem to float above the forest floor. Fog drifts between stilts and posts, wrapping around carved pillars until the buildings themselves become part of the cloud. Children emerge into a world where trees disappear upward into grey-white nothing, where paths vanish into mist 20 feet away, and where the familiar becomes magical simply by being half hidden. Their umar breathe with the fog, walls and floors designed to let mist flow through like benevolent spirits. Extended families gather around fires that glow through the haze like small suns, the smoke mixing with sea fog until it's impossible to tell where hearth ends and atmosphere begins. The carved spirits on their walls seem to move in the shifting light, ancestors made visible by the very mist that conceals everything else. The Mentawai hunt in this fog-wrapped forest with patience that borders on meditation. Wild pigs appear from mist, like materializing thoughts. Birds call from trees that might not exist. And every footstep disappears into earth so soft and moist it seems to exhale breath. Their poison arrows fly through air thick enough to catch, and their shamans read omens in the way fog clings to certain trees or avoids others entirely. But the outside world follows new roads that cut through their clouded forests, bringing tourists with cameras that struggle to focus in the perpetual haze. Some Mentawai trade their fog-wrapped umar for concrete houses in towns where the sun shines harsh and unfiltered, where the absence of mist makes the air feel thin and empty. Yet in the heart of Siberut, where sea fog meets forest mist in veils of grey-green silence, the Mentawai remain what they have always been. People of the eternal cloud, living proof that some worlds are meant to be half-hidden, some truths revealed only in the soft light that filters through perpetual mist. Toraja. In the highlands of Sulawesi, where volcanic peaks pierce clouds that never fully clear, the Toraja people have built a civilization in the realm of morning mist. Their villages perch on ridges that emerge from fog, like islands of human habitation in a sea of grey-white nothing. Their distinctive Tongkonan houses rising through layers of cloud, with roofs that curve skyward like prayers made of wood and thatch. Dawn in Toraja land is a daily act of creation, as morning mist slowly reveals rice terraces carved into mountainsides like staircases to heaven. The fog lifts in layers, first exposing the green floors of valleys, then the bamboo groves clinging to slopes, finally the coffee trees and clove gardens that grow in the perpetual twilight of high altitude. By the time the sun burns through completely, it's often afternoon, and already new clouds are gathering for tomorrow's veiling. The Toraja understand death as they understand fog, not as ending, but as transformation. Their elaborate funeral ceremonies stretch for days, with water buffalo sacrificed and wooden Tau figures carved to house the spirits of ancestors who join the mist itself. These effigies watch from cliff caves above valleys that disappear into cloud, eternal guardians whose sight penetrates fog as easily as clear air. Their Aluk religion sees the divine in the mist that shrouds their mountains. Morning clouds carry prayers to Puang Matua, the creator who dwells above the visible sky. Shamans read omens in the way fog clings to certain peaks or valleys, and rice planting follows the rhythms of mist as much as monsoon. In a landscape where mountains appear and vanish like thoughts, the sacred and physical merge as seamlessly as warm air rising into cool cloud. Modern Indonesia has built roads up their mountains and brought electricity to villages that knew only firelight and starlight. Young Toraja follow these roads down to cities where the sun shines unfiltered, trading the gentle twilight of home for opportunities that glow with artificial brightness. But in the highlands, where morning fog still wraps around tongkonan houses and rice terraces float like green dreams above valleys lost in cloud, the Toraja continue their ancient relationship with mist. They are the people who turned altitude into art, who made death a doorway into fog, who understand that some worlds are meant to be half hidden from the harsh eye of the sun. Taita Hills communities. Rising like green islands from the dry savanna of southeastern Kenya, the Taita Hills cradle communities that live in perpetual conversation with clouds. These ancient mountains catch moisture from the Indian Ocean winds, wrapping their peaks in mists that turn a landscape of thorns and dust into an emerald realm where cloud forest plants flourish and morning fog makes every dawn a mystery. The Taita people wake to mornings where their shambas, small farms carved into hillsides, emerge from mist like gifts unwrapped by the sky itself. Bananas and coffee trees materialize from fog, their leaves heavy with dew that supplements the rain caught by these moisture-loving mountains. Children walk to school through clouds that drift across paths, making familiar routes seem like journeys through dreams. Their traditional homesteads cluster on ridges where the fog is thickest, stone and thatch buildings designed to breathe with the mist that flows around them like slow rivers of air. Women tend kitchen gardens where vegetables grow in soil enriched by constant cloud drip, while men manage terraces that catch both water and fog, turning altitude into agriculture in one of Africa's most ingenious mountain adaptations. The sacred forests, or figis, crown the highest peaks where clouds gather thickest. These are reservoirs of both water and wisdom, protected groves where traditional healers gather plants that grow only in perpetual mist. The Taita understand these cloud forests as the source of their streams, their weather, and their spiritual connection to the sky that touches their mountains with such gentle persistence. But the modern world presses close to their misty heights. Tea plantations have claimed some cloud forests, roads wind up mountains that once knew only footpaths, and young Taita migrate to Mombasa and Nairobi, trading mist for city smog. Climate change threatens the delicate balance that brings clouds to their peaks, and some old people whisper that the figs are thirsty the mist less reliable than it once was. Yet in the early morning hours, when fog rolls up from the coastal plains and wraps around their hills like a lover's embrace, the Taita remain what they have always been, people of the cloud-kissed peaks, guardians of mountains that exist in the gentle space between earth and sky, proof that elevation can be a form of grace. Guarani. In the mist-shrouded remnants of Brazil and Paraguay's Atlantic forest, where morning fog rises like forest breath and afternoon clouds drift between trees that have witnessed centuries, the Guarani people move through a world where every dawn is veiled in mystery. This is not the bright jungle of the Amazon, but something more intimate, a cloud forest where ancient trees disappear upward into mist, where waterfalls tumble from heights invisible in fog, and where the Guarani have learned to read the moods of air itself. Their villages cluster in clearings where fog pools like water, traditional opi houses emerging from morning mist like structures built from cloud itself. Bamboo walls breathe with the humid air, letting moisture flow through while families gather around fires that glow through the haze like small beacon lights. The smoke mingles with natural fog until it's impossible to separate human presence from forest atmosphere. The Guarani plant their three sisters, corn, beans, and squash, in gardens that appear and disappear as mist rolls through the valleys. They time their planting not just by moon phases, but by the rhythms of fog, knowing which clearings will stay clear long enough for corn to reach the sun, and which crops thrive in perpetual cloud shade. Their children learn to navigate paths that vanish into gray-white nothing, developing an almost supernatural sense of direction in landscapes where landmarks disappear like thoughts. Their shamans journey through mist worlds, both physical and spiritual, understanding fog as the breath of Nhandaru, the creator who speaks through clouds and wind. Sacred ceremonies take place at dawn when the fog is thickest, prayers rising with the mist toward trees so tall their crowns live in permanent cloud. The Guarani pharmacopoeia includes dozens of plants that grow only in cloud forest conditions, medicines that draw their power from perpetual moisture and filtered light. But the Atlantic forest has been reduced to fragments, islands of mist surrounded by soybean fields and cattle pastures. Some Guarani communities find themselves relocated to reservations where the fog doesn't gather properly, where the sun shines too bright, and the air feels thin without its familiar weight of moisture. Yet in the remaining cloud forest fragments, where morning mist still rises like forest prayers and giant trees still disappear into fog above, the Guarani persist. They are the people who learn to live in the breath of forests, who turned mist into medicine, who understand that some wisdom can only be whispered through clouds that never fully lift. Dayak. In Borneo's mist-wrapped highlands, the Dayak live in longhouses that float above valleys lost in cloud. These mountain Dayak differ from their riverine kin, dwelling where tropical heat meets high-altitude coolness, and forests breathe in layers of drifting fog. Their rumah panjang stretch like wooden bridges across ridges, ironwood posts vanishing downward into white nothing, as if rooted in sky. They plant hill rice on terraces that appear and disappear with the mist, timing harvests not only by rain, but by the moods of clouds themselves. Children grow up reading fog like scripture, knowing which veils bring water and which only the soft embrace of humidity. The Dayung, shamans, treat mist as a bridge between worlds, holding ceremonies on mountaintops hidden in perpetual cloud where ancestors dwell. Spirits of fog and forest guard these heights, their presence revealed only when visibility shrinks to near nothing. Palm oil and logging roads gnaw at Borneo's forests, yet the highland mists still shield many Dayak lands. Some youth leave for cities of sun and asphalt, but in the cloud forests, longhouses remain, floating sanctuaries in grey twilight. Here, the Dayak endure, guardians of hidden mountains, builders of lives in the sacred marriage of earth and sky. Batak. In Palawan's highland forests, where dawn mist rises from hidden valleys, the Batak move through a world veiled in drifting clouds. Their bamboo shelters appear and vanish like forest thoughts, while campfire smoke blends with fog until human presence becomes indistinguishable from the mountain's breath. Nomadic within their cloud forests, the Batak follow bees to hives concealed in canopies lost in mist, children climbing trees that vanish into grey-white sky. They gather almantili resin from shadowed trunks and harvest plants that thrive in perpetual twilight, ferns, orchids, and vines whose healing properties are bound to mist itself. For their healers, fog is medicine, breathed and absorbed like a living cure. Yet logging roads cut deeper into their forests, and some Batak drift toward coastal towns where sun replaces cloud. Still, in Palawan's hidden heights, where trails dissolve into mystery and mist rises like prayer, the Batak endure, honey hunters, resin gatherers, guardians of forests, where life survives by learning to live in the clouds. Kogi. In Colombia's Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta, where Caribbean waters rise to glacier peaks, the Kogi guard mountains wrapped in cloud, the breath of the Great Mother herself. Their villages emerge from fog like visions, valleys concealed and revealed in cycles of mist. Each morning, the world materializes anew, mountains unfolding as if summoned from dreams. The Mamas, priest-shamans, spend years in darkness and mist, learning to read clouds as scripture. To them, fog is a luna, the spiritual essence behind all things. On mountaintop temples hidden in perpetual cloud, they fast and meditate, preparing to see truths that lie beyond ordinary sight. For the Kogi, the Sierra is the heart of the world, and the mists its lifeblood. Thinning fogs and shifting patterns signal imbalance, proof to them that the Great Mother's breath grows labored. Outsiders, whom they call younger brothers, climb higher into sacred peaks with roads and cameras, while some Kogi retreat deeper into valleys where clouds still shield their world. Yet in the highest reaches, where prayers gather in vapor and mountains breathe in mist, the Kogi endure, guardians of the planet's heart, readers of cloud wisdom, keepers of a truth written only where earth and sky dissolve into fog. Yanesha. In the cloud forests of central Peru, where Amazon lowlands climb into Andean foothills, the Yanesha live in a world woven from mist. Their villages rise from fog, like islands in drifting seas, stilted houses, floating above valleys where paths vanish into grey-white mystery. Here, sight gives way to memory and sound, guiding life through forests where visibility is measured in heartbeats. The Yanesha plant chakras, forest gardens, where coffee, plantains, and yucca thrive under the slow nourishment of cloud drip. They read the rhythms of fog as others read the rains, planting and harvesting by its cycles of concealment and revelation. For them, mist is not weather, but kin, a living presence that feeds, shelters, and whispers, Shamans journey through veils of vapor and vision. Ayahuasca opening pathways into the spirit world hidden within clouds. Mountaintop shrines lost in permanent fog mark the meeting of heaven and earth, where saints and ancient guardians share the same breath of mist. Yet roads carve higher into their lands, carrying loggers, settlers, and young Yanesha, seeking futures beyond the forests. Still, in the high valleys where morning fog rises like forest breath and evenings dissolve into endless haze, the Yanesha endure, farmers of cloud, keepers of grey twilight, guardians of a world designed to exist between earth and sky. Sierra Mixe. High in the mountains of Oaxaca, where storms crash against cloud-piercing peaks, the Mixe people live in villages adrift in fog. Their homes perch on ridges where adobe walls emerge from mist, and corn grows on slopes so steep they seem suspended in air. Children learn to walk paths that vanish into whiteness, guided by senses sharpened like second sight. Coffee thrives in the soft light of cloud shade, ripening slowly as mist feeds crops with gentle moisture. To the Mixe, fog is sacred. Prayers rise with it, and harvests follow its patterns as much as the sun's. On mountaintop shrines wrapped in cloud, saints share space with ancient rain spirits, while shamans read weather like scripture written in vapor. Yet migration and climate change pull at their world, thinning the balance that sustains their cloud forests. Still, in the highest villages, fog lingers like an embrace, and the Mixe endure. Farmers of mist, readers of clouds, guardians of mountains, where earth and sky meet in prayer. If this journey through the world's most mist-shrouded highlands stirred your spirit, let the fog carry your support. Leave a like, share it with fellow explorers, and subscribe so you never miss the next expedition into hidden worlds. Thank you for watching, and may the gentle wisdom of cloud-wrapped peaks stay with you until we climb again.